It's a Wednesday party, people, right here on the Early Line. SportsGrid Network, the place to be. It's a hump day, which means you are halfway to the weekend, and a weekend it's going to be, which includes the Final Four. Yeah, you get some Major League Baseball, NBA, and also some hockey here, but we got big-time basketball that's going to need to be discerned, and meaning, who's going to win that? Come on now, we got you covered on everything and much, much more, which includes the Philadelphia Phillies last night. Andrew Payne, a sensational start last night, Joe. That's where I'm going to get started off. But it's Joe Ranieri, it's Donnie right side, and away we go.
Yeah, and Lakers got it done for us last night there. So that was also a pretty good evening there, Donnie. But a lot to discuss here. A lot of day baseball today. First true getaway day here today, Donnie.
Yeah, we missed this day baseball. First week and a half of the season. Get the games in the afternoon where maybe those temperatures will be warmer. But talking about a warm cup of Joe, nah, a hot cup of Joe. Time to get caffeinated on a Wednesday, Joe. Where are we going?
Well, Donnie, today we need to talk about how the internet must be completely out of people to be mad at. Because it appears that keyboard warriors around the country are officially losing their minds, and their target this week is none other than Jim Nantz. Yes, that Jim Nantz, the voice of the NFL, college football, college basketball, tennis, Antiques Roadshow, the list goes on. And of course, the Masters, a guy who is universally revered and has spent his entire 40-year broadcast career completely avoiding the TMZ headlines. But apparently, he committed the ultimate sin this week, Donnie, because during a Masters preview call, Nantz had the audacity to admit that he has not watched a single stroke of Bryson DeChambeau playing on the Live Golf Tour this year. He said that he just watches Bryson's YouTube channel with his son. And the Live Golf fanboys have completely lost their minds. They went to social media and X and accused a broadcasting legend of being lazy and unprepared for Augusta next week. You got to be kidding me. These are the kinds of guys that are hosting a sports podcast with exactly 3 weekly downloads who are still bitter that they didn't get the intern gig at CBS Sports, and yet they're going to rip Jim Nantz. Let's inject some reality into this conversation for a second. Nobody is watching Live Golf, and I mean nobody. You have got a better chance of finding a packed sports bar watching a rerun of a 1990 spelling bee than you do of finding anyone watching a Live event. They don't even know where to find the Live event on television. Nantz is a pro's pro. He's grinding it out. Relevant sporting events, week in, week out. He is the voice that we all recognize. He does not have a moral obligation to track down a glorified no-cut exhibition tour being played halfway across the globe just to appease a dozen guys with an X handle. If these critics really want to be mad at a golfer making headlines for the wrong reasons, I don't know. Maybe they should look at Tiger Woods, because Tiger just got busted for another DUI, crashed his SUV, and had to yesterday officially announce that he's stepping away from the game and will not be at Augusta next week. Jim Nantz simply shows up, does his job at an elite level, and doesn't waste his time watching minor league golf tours. So, Donnie, let's hope Jim ignores the haters this week, and let's get ready for a tradition unlike any other.
Absolutely. And by the way, you're right. Nobody is watching Live Golf at this point. And when they do get to the Masters and he does get his way around and sees a couple practice swings, he'll be caught up to date because we already know he's a great golfer. I haven't seen Tom Brady throw a pass. Stop the madness. You know the greatness here. We'll all enjoy the Masters as we always do. It's not that big of a deal. So let's get to the early lineup here on a Wednesday, hump day, and get after the big news, which does include Tiger Woods. And understand this, people. We always hope for the best in people, and there's even our mightiest of athletes do have some flaws. However, I see Tiger Woods saying he's stepping away. So he's actually admitting he has basically a pill problem or a substance abuse issue. But yet he just got into a crash flipping his SUV, Joe, going 20 miles an hour supposedly, and just glanced down at his phone and had pills in his pocket, but then says, I'm not guilty because I wasn't under the influence at this time of what he was arrested under, Joe. Help me out with this story. It ain't making much sense from Tiger's side.
No, it's not. But what did you expect, right? I think he demanded was it a jury trial too as
Oh,
well?
yeah, we got to get into that.
Yeah, it's well. Listen, you can demand those kinds of things when you have the kind of money you do, and you're actually committing these, these drunk driving charges on an island with a total population of 35 of the richest people in the world. So I guess you can do that, Donnie. But the reality is, yeah, not my fault is not looking good as an excuse for Tiger Woods.
And I understand this too. I sent a tweet yesterday. If this is really the path that we're going down to as a society, where you can get pilled and zotzed up out of your mind, drive around, crash your car, and go, well, I didn't drink alcohol. Sure, I'll take that breathalyzer. Okay, now we're going to do some other tests. Nope, I decline that. I have a pretty good lawyer. I'll plea out and it won't be a DUI. You've got to be absolutely kidding me at this point. We'll have more to come on that shortly as well. World Cup 2026. I thought Italy was good at soccer. We, as the United States, are much better than Italy at soccer now. The third straight time they haven't qualified here for the World Cup. What's the deal in Italy?
Yeah, not good, Donnie.
Wow.
And I know a couple of big-time soccer fans, Italian soccer fans who stay away from high buildings, bridges, those types of things. These guys are not having fun here. It is just unthinkable that Italy, especially coming out of an amazing Winter Olympics, Donnie, is not competing in the biggest stage in the world of soccer. They're having a hard time right now.
Eating too much pizza, Joe, not training hard enough. That's the only thing I can decipher out of that situation. How about Christian Pulisic? Okay, what do we do? Kids, score a goal. Are we going to go goalless for a couple years in a U.S. uniform here? I thought he was the future. I thought he was our Pele here.
Yeah. It's, well, again, time will tell, right? That's what we kind of... Yeah, but you can't be blanked, by Portugal in a friendly. That's not a good situation here. So, but I am thinking, Donnie, that let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's see it before we rip them. And something tells me we're going to be ripping Team USA before it's all said and done.
Can't rip Ovechkin here. How about this? 30 goals for 20 straight seasons and a win last night over the Philadelphia Flyers, which the Flyers absolutely needed. But Ovi, he just keeps going. Why not another year for Ovi?
Listen, keep playing, dude. Just keep playing. And he's playing at such a ridiculous level. I mean, guys like him and Yager, these guys, just they're built differently, Donnie, in hockey. It's truly amazing to see.
Spring football going on. Syracuse, which needs all the help they can get, loses one of their wide receivers here. Hey, I know a wide receiver that might be able to help you out. How about that one?
Yeah, there could be a few here. But listen, Syracuse athletics all together, Donnie, right? Now, basketball looking up, Syracuse football, a lot to be excited about in Syracuse sports.
Bad business moves. Mark Cuban here. I regret selling to the Addisons. No, you don't. You regret selling the Mavericks here because the price of the brick is going up every single day, and two new teams are coming into the NBA, which means you would have got about $400 million in your back pocket for doing absolutely nothing. What a terrible move for Mark Cuban to sell at the absolute wrong time.
Yeah, well, he tried to pawn it off because nobody likes the owners he sold them to. So he figures let me point the blame down. I can't believe I sold. No, you can't believe you sold it for as cheap as you sold it, because if you would have held on to it, you would have pocketed a cool extra bill. So, yeah, no, I'm not buying it either, Mark Cuban.
Couple significant rule changes in the NFL, which means if the owners say we're not going to ratify a new CBA for the referees, we need a lot more people watching these games from our side to make sure the information is correct. And also, Joe, dynamic kickoff. How about an onside kick at any time?
Yeah, you get 30 billionaires hanging out in Boca Raton or Orlando or wherever they are. It's just not. It's not a good. They come up with some really stupid things, Donnie. So it's not great there.
Let the bourbon flow out there for the NFL owners. We'll keep it rolling on a Wednesday right here on the early line. We'll be right back after this short break. More fun ahead. Propose a bill to end sports investing. All this means is, you didn't pay your tax to us as Congress. Pay that tax. We won't vote on this bill.
Yeah, we saw the same kind of thing, Donnie, with the advent of fantasy football. Remember when that first started and we saw ads everywhere, and all of a sudden Congress had to get, Yeah, that's because they wanted their fair share.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Myles Garrett's getting traded, and I think the Eagles make the most sense for the trade. The Browns need a wide receiver.
They do.
They need as many picks as possible. The Eagles are built to win right now. So where do they pick 20 what? Do you have that?
I believe it's 23.
All right, so let's assume it's 23. You give up the 23rd overall pick.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I think there's an opportunity down the board. I think Pete Alonso likely has some new life. And what about your boy Schwarber here? We know
Come on.
up at the top, he's going to have enough at-bats and enough pitches to do it. Sounds like he's got 40 to 50 home runs. I don't even think working really hard this year.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
So much to get into.
So much to get into, so little time. Listen, this is a time of year where it's great basketball. Teams that have to be at their best, some teams at their best for 40 minutes, some teams at their best for 36 minutes. But at the end of the day, you got to play your best 40. Otherwise, you're going home like we saw over the last couple of days.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Happy April Fool's Day to all who participate here, DRS and Joe Ranier. By the way, Joe, you get like back in the day before like social media, like April Fool's joke as a kid, it's kind of funny. It gets annoying now because people are going to try to pass over there and say, you know what, let me put something out on social media. Ha ha, gotcha. You ever do anything like that, Joe?
Yeah, well, the problem is it was great when it was just your buddies or a groupie, right? And there was no way to. But every day now with the internet, Donnie, has turned into April Fool's Day. So I mean, you got parody accounts. It's kind of taken the whole fun out of it, since every day you're reading something and have no idea whether they're telling the truth or not.
And by the way, like back in the day, HR was a little bit more lenient. Like, hey, boss came in, everybody's in on it. Hey, you're fired, box your stuff up. Ha ha! April Fools, do that today. That's going to be a lawsuit on your hands. What happened to all the fun we used to have? Oh, well, more fun in the NBA tonight because it's time for some Spreadlines, Joe. Boston Celtics, Miami Heat. How about this? Line overnight, -4 towards the Boston Celtics. Line right now at most outlets, -5.5 for the Boston Celtics. And a total, Joe, of 229.5. Last time I saw the Heat, they beat the Philadelphia 76ers. Now they're taking on those Celtics here. What's the spread line for tonight for you?
Well, we were laughing, right? Because, we know the Heat. Yes, this game means a lot more to the Heat than it does the Celtics at this point. Detroit wins last night. Celtics coming off a loss against Atlanta where, Jaylen Brown's like, 29 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists. One of my worst games I've played in a long time. All right, well, Tatum's back here. He's been cleared tonight. So the Celtics will be healthy. So for the most part, it appears the Miami Heat will be. And listen, if Miami can give the same kind of effort that they showed up with against Philadelphia for 4 quarters, this is going to be a fun game. But the Celtics have kind of dominated the Heat over the last couple of seasons, and they're fully healthy. So I don't expect a whole lot from Miami in this one. It feels like the Celtics, pretty good spot for a bounce back, even on the road here.
Orlando Magic had a roller coaster game last night. They're back in it again down there in the Magic City. The Atlanta Hawks come to town to take on the Orlando Magic. This line overnight, Joe, opened up at 3.5 as a favorite to the Hawks. Now you see that graphic. It's up to 4.5 at most outlets now. 233.5 is the overnight number in the total, down a point to 232.5. The Atlanta Hawks and the Orlando Magic tonight in O-Town. What do we got for a spread line here?
Well, there you go, right? I mean, Orlando, big cut. Yeah. Good win for them, lad. They needed that as they sit in the number 8 spot, but in a virtual dead heat with Miami in the play-in spot. But Atlanta's only a couple of games ahead of them in the 5 spot. So these are actual very important games here. But the second of a back-to-back, I would not be shocked watching this number continue to rise towards Atlanta. Overnight 4, now 4.5. I do think this is tough here for Orlando, but hey, listen, they dug this hole for themselves. They do have a shot to make it out of the play-in, but this is a game they've got to have here tonight. I just don't think they're consistent enough offensively to get it.
And how about this? It is April Fool's Day here. And how about we talk about a basketball game between Oklahoma and Colorado? You said, well, what are we talking about here, Donnie? Oklahoma, was this Big 8 football back in 1987? No, it's not. It's the Crown Tournament, Joe. Oklahoma, Colorado, line overnight here opened up at 6.5, Joe. But now we're seeing the graphic minus 9.5 as a favorite towards Oklahoma and a high total of 165.5. A tournament that we didn't need, but maybe we do because we like to handicap stuff, Joe. What's the spread line?
So this is the, we had this last year too, Donnie. The problem with this last year, what we had was a lot of the teams participating kind of used it like a summer league opportunity. Young guys playing, none of the guys that were going into transfer portal playing well. The reason, and I picked this game, is because the line movement is absurd. I mean, Donnie, some places it was 5.5 to look ahead.
Goodness.
And now we're 9.5. And the reason is Oklahoma is expecting all of their top scorers to play. Nigel Pack will be there. Xavier Brown is available. Oklahoma was one of those first 4 out teams, Donnie. They finally figured it out late in the season and had an opportunity there to be able to sneak in, but they didn't. But I think it looks like they're going to give it one final go in this tournament. It sounds like Oklahoma is filled with guys that want to be there, while Colorado, they've already moved on to next season. So there's a reason why that line moved for almost 5 points here in a matter of a week.
Afternoon, Major League Baseball today. Absolutely. You know who's on the mound? The Pittsburgh Pirates. Paul Skeens here. You take a look at, he's going to go up against Abbott, the lefty for the Cincinnati Reds. A heavy favorite. No surprise towards the Pittsburgh Pirates here at a minus 162 price and a total of 7.5. However, in this game, we saw Skeens struggle opening day. Not really the fault of his own. Make a couple outs there. Maybe extends that game, but it didn't happen. Heavy rain, Joe, expected in the forecast during this game. Something to keep an eye on. How about a spread line for you on this one?
Pirates win 8-3 last night over the Reds. The bats have, they've come alive here. And the big question with Skeens, as always, is he going to get enough run support? But you got to like his chances here, Donnie, right? Even on the road here, you got to like his chances of getting back. People forget how good Abbott was, before the injuries kind of sidelined him there. But I would imagine that Paul Skeens looking for a bounce back. I'd be looking at strikeout props. I'd also be looking at first 5 markets here, Donnie. Lay the half a run with the Pirates here and look for Paul Skeens to shut down this Reds lineup, who still strikes out way too much.
1:40 p.m. Eastern today, Joe. Tampa Bay is going to head to Milwaukee. Ooh, it's going to be 37 degrees and windy conditions. Well, good thing we got a dome there in Milwaukee. We should have any issues with this game. Rasmussen's going to take on Jacob Mizorowski, who was really good on opening day. This line opened up, Joe, around that minus 120, minus 125 price point. But now you see the graphic. We're up here. Minus 142s in the marketplace and a low total of 7. Tampa Bay and Milwaukee, Joe. What are we looking at for a spread line here for you?
Well, look at that total, Donnie, right? I mean, does that tell you what kind of, which is, because the Brewers have, already scored more runs than most teams in Major League Baseball. But when I'm sitting at a total at 7, you know what that means? That means we got one heck of a pitcher's battle happening here, Donnie. I would also look, maybe cut this game in half. First 5 under, because I don't know how many balls are getting put in play with both of these guys on the mound.
Joe, we got 15 games today in Major League Baseball. 13 of those in the afternoon. Sounds like a part. Joe, 12:15, 12:35, 12:40, 105, 107, 110. I could go on and on down the list. Baseball is back, and we love it. So is the early line. After this break, we'll be right here for you. Come on. Propose a bill to end sports investing. All this means is, you didn't pay your tax to us as Congress. Pay that tax. We won't vote on this bill.
Yeah, We saw the same kind of thing, Donnie, with the advent of fantasy football. Remember when that first started and we saw ads everywhere and all of a sudden Congress had to get, yeah, that's because they wanted their fair share.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Myles Garrett's getting traded, and I think the Eagles make the most sense for the trade. The Browns need a wide receiver.
They do.
They need as many picks as possible. The Eagles are built to win right now. So where do they pick 21? Do you have that?
I believe it's 23.
All right, so let's assume it's 23. You give up the 23rd overall pick.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I think there's an opportunity down the board. I think Pete Alonso likely has some new life. And what about your boy Schwarber here? We know
Come on.
up at the top, he's going to have enough at-bats and enough pitches to do it. Sounds like he's got 40 to 50 home runs. I don't even think working really hard this year.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
So much to get into.
So much to get into, so little time. Listen, this is a time of year where it's great basketball. Teams that have to be at their best, some teams at their best for 40 minutes, some teams at their best for 36 minutes. But at the end of the day, you got to play your best 40. Otherwise, you're going home like we saw over the last couple of days.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Back with more fun here on a Wednesday, no doubt about it. Sonny right side, it is Joe Raniere. And by the way, coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, as usual, it's going to be our good friend Kevin Walsh joining us here from Game Time Decisions, host right here on the network with Gabriel Morency. Good time, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. Let's have some Joe. You know, I like to eat food here. I only eat once a day. I like to save up for a really good meal. Yesterday, pal, I had Chipotle, so I had a burrito. I had the large chips, I had the guacamole, and I also then ordered another quesadilla on top of that. Had some rice and stuff on the side. It was delicious, and then washed it all down there with a Mr. Goodbar. Tremendous stuff here. Now let's go out to Colorado. You ain't watching good baseball there, Joe, so you need some things to do. Let me ask you a question on this one. The Colorado Rockies have introduced donut pizzas at Coors Field this year. And if you don't know what they are covered in garlic butter, grated Parmesan, mozzarella cheese, pepperoni, marinara sauce, pesto sauce, and Italian seasoning. So let me understand this here. If my local pizza joint, which I love very much, made this, you know what? I might give it a try. But the fact that it's at a ballpark, which means it was made probably days in advance and thrown into a microwave, I got to tell you, Joe, probably going to be out on this one.
Yeah, but Donnie, I'm thinking after a couple of gummy bears, nobody at that park is really going to care. They're just going to see the words donut and pizza. And I'm just saying that the likelihood of them caring when it was made, how it was made, just the words alone are going to get them to strap on the feed bag there, Donnie, because the baseball isn't what you're there to watch. I can tell you that.
And if you want to impress maybe a new date that you have, don't get this, man. Garlic butter, Parmesan, pesto, Italian seasoning. You're not going to want to be kissing your significant other that night, Joe. So again, first dates out there or a big-time business meeting, maybe stay away from this one for another time. Now, if you thought this was good, how about this next story from the Madison Mallards, Joe? I'm going to read this to you. It's a holster for your hot dog, a place to tuck your tube steak, a carrier for your coney. It's the Wiener Wallet. Joe, do you need a Wiener Wallet at the ballpark? And by the way, look, you go up, you get a hot dog, comes in a carrier, you go back to your seat, you eat the glizzy. You know, you relax, you sit down, you watch a game, might have a beer. I don't know if I'm tucking it in a wallet, Joe, walking back to my seat and smashing the hot dog and the contents that are with it here. No, I'm not getting. I don't need a Wiener Wallet, Joe.
Is it bad I have a thong bathing suit like that, Donnie? Is it? No, okay, that's a different story altogether. Yeah, I'm not sure who thought of this promotion, but kudos to them. Outstanding stuff here. Hey, listen, you can't, if you're flipping through, right, you're going from webpage, all of a sudden, if this pops up, Donnie, you got to be like, oh, wait a minute, what in the world? Now, all of a sudden, now I got to go and get a Wiener wallet just to say I went and got a Wiener wallet.
By the way, if I'm looking at this graphic, Joe, it says July 18th ticket plus a Wiener wallet for $21, which it says grandstand, or $48 Busch Light Duck Blind beer. So I got to pay $48 for a beer and a Wiener wallet to get into a minor league game? What is this? What? It should be $5 to get into this game.
Is your Wiener wallet wrapped in gold,
Man.
Donnie? Like, what's going
48.
on there? Because that's a big price for a hot dog right there. That's all I'm going to say, Donnie. That's a lot. No, I mean, is that not the Savannah Bananas, right? We're talking about minor league baseball which is not, no, absolutely not for $50.
By the way, Joe, do you take a bite out of the wiener and then put it back in the wallet there and then just like take it out throughout the game? Hey, honey, I'm going to go to the bathroom. Like, isn't that unsanitary? I'm going to take my wiener wallet into the bathroom with my hot dog before I get back to my seats.
I agree. You don't want to be caught holding your wiener wallet in the bathroom.
No.
I'm just telling you. Yeah, that you don't. Yes. Good point.
No cameras, people. Keep that in mind. All right, talking baseball. Colt Emerson, the number 1 prospect and number 7 prospect in baseball. By the way, the number prospect in the Mariners organization. 9th year club option and escalators that could push this contract to $130 million. It's no surprise a lot of these ball clubs, Joe, trying to hammer out deals before what we think is going to be Armageddon in the CBA.
Yeah, listen, it's smart on a lot of different levels, Donnie, and it's been the trend over the last couple of seasons where teams trying to lock up their young guys now because they know what it's going to cost down the road if they actually kick that can. So, yeah, I think it's the smart move, especially like you said. Are we even getting baseball in a year from now? I lock it in while you can, Donnie. All bets are off after that.
And by the way, we have to save this maybe for, and then I want to burn this episode because Major League Baseball and also the Players Union, we are headed, as we like to say, Joe, for Armageddon. And I want to get into this a little bit more because when we talk about the Major League Baseball Players Association war chest, I got to check into some of these details here. That's what we do. We get behind the scenes, people. That's how we get down here on the early line. We'll be right back. Major League Baseball Players Union, one of the strongest unions in professional sports, if not the strongest union here. It's Donnie Right Side Joe Ranieri, and we're hearing now that CBA is going to be tough to come by December 1st. And by the way, in the predictive markets here, you can wager on that. You can invest in it and say, I don't think there's going to be a CBA. There won't be a CBA by December 1st. That's almost a 100% guarantee. But in leading up to this, you want to put pressure on the other sides. And a lot of times we look at this politically like, hey, my opponent's got $3 billion saved up for that ad campaign. We only have $200 million. Oh, no, what are we going to do? But now Major League Baseball is saying they've increased their war chest to $415 million ahead of the collective bargaining. Understand this, though. Like, the Major League Baseball war chest here isn't just the players' money that they make where they can't just say, hey, you know what? Put some money aside for yourself here in case we have an actual lockout. Do they take money, Joe, out of the player's paycheck automatically to save up for this?
It's probably written in, to the agreements there, Donnie, across the board. So it's probably something that, was part of the last agreement, which allows them to do this. It's probably just protocol here. But, yeah, not a bad rainy day fund, though, when it's all said and done. But hopefully, Donnie, it never gets to that point. Now, hopefully, cooler heads prevail and all will be worked out. But something tells me, that's not going to happen.
You know what would be great, too? If you remove the owners and you remove the players from the equation, and you got 10 casual fans in a room, and they laid out all the facts. Here's what Major League Baseball makes. Here's what the player wants. You guys are fans of baseball teams. How do you think baseball would work better? Do you know what they would say? Let's put a cap on there, but more importantly, let's put a floor. Because if I'm a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, I want the chance to cheer on my team with a legitimate chance to make the playoffs every year, just like teams in the NFL do. And yes, there's going to be down years, but the premise of in 1 or 2 years, we're going to make a playoff run, that's fun here. I would say those 10 fans, if you got them together after 24 hours, would have a perfect CBA that everybody's happy with, but that's not what's going to happen, Joe.
No, it's not, because there's, as a Yankee fan, my argument would be I'm tired of funding teams like the Pirates and
Correct.
the Rays and everybody else. Like, you're all just siphoning off of what we do. So there are so many different issues on both sides, Donnie. The players don't want to be capped. And the Dodgers are like, well, we have more money. We're just going to outspend you because why shouldn't we? We're paying for all of the bottom feeder teams anyway in the league. So if they're not spending money, we're going to spend it.
It's such a good, like, if you put it in the food world, Joe, high-end steakhouse here that charges a ton of money for steak and it's packed. Steakhouse right across the street, low quality, nobody's in there. They go, hey, why don't you get better steaks like the place across the street? Whoa. If we do that, then that steakhouse across the street won't have to pay us for just being in business when we don't have any customers, but we're actually more profitable than that big steakhouse across the street. Oh, Donnie, that doesn't make sense. That's baseball in a nutshell right now, as Joe just pointed out. The Dodgers spend a lot of money, so Tampa can make a lot of money? Yeah, that doesn't make sense. That needs to be changed as well. It's not going to happen. We're going to have a long lockout, and I'm going to be miserable next year. So flip it over to college basketball, Joe. You know as well as I do. Final Fours this weekend. Championships on Monday. Here's a story that I never quite could get behind or understand. There's a basketball player who's 7'9". He's insignificant on his team. And quite frankly, I don't know if he goes Division 1, 2, or 3 at this point and will be significant. Joe, how can you be 7'9"? He can walk, looks like he could chew gum, and not be able to get on the court in college basketball? Shouldn't he be maybe, I don't know, the most dominant shot blocker in the history? I watched Manute Bol be a really good player at times in the NBA. Why can't this kid?
Well, because, Donnie, he signed with Florida, and he wasn't sniffing the court with Florida. But he did get on the court a couple of times this year, and it was hysterical. Listen, 7'9", he's not exactly the most athletic dude. And especially when he's standing up next to a bunch of other, 7-footers, let's say, even 6'9", 6'10" guys that are flying past him up and down the court. Yeah, but he's got to play. He's never going to play at a school like Florida, so I get why he's transferring. But he's got to go get some reps. And, listen, even Chet Holmgren was pretty good at Gonzaga, except guys were afraid he'd break a bone every time they ran into him.
I mean, Jim Boeheim would have loved this guy in that matchup zone. They would have give a little 2-3 of this big guy standing in the middle of 7-9. But maybe it's another school. Maybe it's a downgrade. Hey, go to a MAC school. You'd probably be an absolute legend at that point. Yes. It's just interesting. A 7-9 basketball player can't get on the court here for any meaningful minutes here. We talked about this to open the show, Joe. Mark Cuban. I don't regret selling. I regret who I sold to. That's a flat out lie at this point, because anybody that's in business, and Mark Cuban is, that goes, if I sold for $2 billion, and if I still had it today, it'd probably be worth $5 billion. You're mad at whoever you sold it to because you sold it and you shouldn't have done that. I always thought it was interesting because Cuban was very outspoken, made a great deal. And any NBA owner that got in before the surge here, you are printing money. The product's going to be around for a long time. And it seems like no matter what happens with your ratings, everything continues to go higher for them, including selling. Mark Cuban's selling out at this point. He's not mad again who he sold it to. He's got to be like, boy, that's the worst business decision I ever made, Joe.
Yeah, and listen, low-hanging fruit here. I mean, the people who bought it from you thought they were going to be able to get a gambling, in a casino passed, and well, that hasn't worked out all that well. So now the entire city hates him. So Cuban just pandering to the fans, right? Like, oh, I regret selling, and I would, the fans are like, oh, Mar, we wish you. Why did you sell? Yeah, it's got nothing to do with that. It's got everything to do with the fact that if he would have held out a little bit longer, my goodness, there would have been quite the payday. Anybody who's ever sold a house on the down market, Donnie, is always going, man, I hate that I sold those people. I sold that house. No, you just hate that you sold the house when if you would have waited a year, you'd have got a 30% return.
And by the way, and also in the sports market, the arrow just continues to go up. People say no matter what, the Dow Jones is going to go higher. Forget about what it is this year. In 5 years, it'll be up 25% automatically. Just invest your money. But if you're an NBA owner, this is the sweet spot of professional sports. Do you think they had alternate motives here in selling the Dallas Mavericks? Some people are like, we're going to run for president, or I'm going to get into politics, and I can't have this. It'll be like a backlash at this point, and they might take it out against my team. Why did he actually sell the Mavericks? I still can't get around that.
Well, there was some rumors that it was kind of being pushed out more than anything else. I mean, Cuban has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way over the years. Let's be honest here. It did seem kind of, there were lawsuits behind the scenes. Let's not forget there were a lot of other things going on there internally where he may not have wanted to sell, but ended up, walking away from it, cashing out and being like, I'm done with it. But you're right, Donnie. It wasn't just he wanted the money or needed the money. There were some other factors playing a role in his decision to step away.
Must have been. Absolutely must have been, because to almost double your investment since he sold, that really stings. And yeah, I'm going to wash my tears away with a couple $1 billion. I get it. But they want to have a few more $1 billion in your pocket, which he doesn't have now. Basketball Hall of Fame, the worst Hall of Fame in all of sports. People get in this because they played basketball. And by the way, pretty soon we're going to get high school All-Americans that are going to get put into the Basketball Hall of Fame who did nothing in college or the pros, and also 8th graders who were ranked number 1 in their class eventually. Amari Stoudemire and Doc Rivers in the Basketball Hall of Fame for 2026. Amari Stoudemire, good player. But when you think about the greats of the game and can you tell the story of basketball without him? Yeah, you can. Doc Rivers, he won a championship, but basically has done nothing, has blown leads left and right, and now just ruined another franchise in the Milwaukee Bucks. But that's the Basketball Hall of Fame for you.
Yes, it really is, Donnie. It's like, all right, so like anybody who had a brief period of, good play. Was Stoudemire dominant? I mean, would you, if you're sitting down in that era of basketball players and you're listing guys that, were Hall of Fame, how many names do you get on that list, Donnie, before you get to Stoudemire?
Look, good player. But again, there's been a lot of good players here. It's not supposed to be the Hall.
Right.
It's not the Hall of Good. It's the Hall of Fame. If you have to ask,
Correct.
How did this guy get in the Hall of Fame? Chances are, once again, Joe, it's probably not a Hall of Famer. We do it in the NFL. If you can't tell the story of football with an absolute player, then he should not be in at that point. But when you understand, once again, Joe, the Hall of Fame is a business. You got to keep inducting people so people keep going back and spending their money. That's when you get to the conclusion, it makes some sense now. It's early on a Wednesday. We're just getting started, people. Professional golf tournaments this week. The Masters coming up shortly here. Love to see it. It's the right passage of spring, right, Joe? It's the Final Four. It's the championship game of college basketball. It's the opening of Major League Baseball season. And it's Augusta with the blooming azaleas here. The high expectations just a few short weeks ago where, Tiger's going to make a return back to Augusta this year. Ratings would have been through the roof just to cheer him on as he's dominated that course so many times. However, things happen in between, which means a car crash on a 20 to 25 mile an hour street in Jupiter Island, Florida, flips over his Land Rover and is arrested, Joe, for DUI. Now, some of those details are starting to come out now where Tiger goes, hey, I just looked down at my phone and flipped my car. Nah, we're not buying that at this point. And then the police go, yeah, when we got to the scene, sweating profusely, disoriented here, bloodshot eyes, and we found oxys in his pocket here. So we charge him with DUI once he declined to give us further testing here, and away we go in the suit. So that's where we sit right now with Tiger Woods, Joe. How are we feeling about the outcome of this situation and also the future of Tiger Woods in the golf game?
Well, yeah, listen, I don't think anybody cares if they ever see him out on the golf course again. Like, just figure it out, Tiger. This is not the first time that he's had to step away for, treatment, right? Donnie, we know this. And how many more times is he going to get behind the wheel of a car and be lucky enough to walk away from it? It's like, come on, this is, it's getting to a point where if he doesn't admit he's got a problem, Donnie, I don't know what to say. But the idea that the reason he gave was, I don't know what happened. I turned down. I was distracted. I was changing the station on the radio, which I thought is hilarious because who in their right mind actually, looks at the radio anymore? It's hysterical. But yeah, I didn't. Again, it doesn't seem like there's accountability here. It feels like a lot of everything we heard outside of this recent one where he says, I'm going to step away, which is the only thing he said. But everything else in the police report screams, not my fault, honey, not my fault, didn't do it. I mean, he had an excuse for everything. I don't know what to tell you.
When you're looking at an athlete like this, and it's most of the time we say, hey, I got caught at Walmart stealing something. It was the first time. No, it was probably your 50th time. You just got caught that time. But Tiger Woods has a long history of this, DUIs in the past. And I understand this. Tight-knit communities that you live in, rich communities or anything. You pull over Tiger Woods, some people are going to try to help you out. Hey, Tiger, man, you look like hey, I'm going to call him back up right now. We'll get you home safe. This is the only times that he's caught at this point. And also being helped along the process. Do you remember the last time where he almost lost his leg in a car crash where he flipped his car? It's like, this was like 10 a.m. in the morning and nobody really crashes on this road. And we found you in the trees. And the cop's like, oh, we didn't think one time to run a sobriety test on the guy. Like, that's Tiger Woods. He was just trying to get to a golf course here. So the one thing that you look at now, he says, okay, I'm going to step back and get help. But what does that mean? Like, sometimes, Joe, you got to go through that hard help where they throw you in the clink and you're there for a couple days and you detox by yourself. Is this one of those, I'm going to step away, get health, and go to a med spa in Malibu where I can leave at any time after 3 days, and that's a good PR hit for me where I say, hey, went and got all the help I needed? Because the one thing that we do know is we want to see Tiger Woods back in golf, but also we don't want to see somebody who's a menace to society on the streets. And understand this, when you're taking a look at a person that has oxy in his pocket, which he's probably been abusing for a long time, if you don't know what that is, that's basically legalized heroin that's really expensive to get. So if you're ultra wealthy, you can have that. If you're not ultra wealthy, you know what happens when the money runs out? You go straight to heroin at that point. Tiger's got a big issue at this point. Just get clean for us here and help out society and yourself. Be that beacon of hope. Because how many times you look at it, Joe? Hey, Tiger went through a rough stretch, man. Boy, he looks great now in a couple years. Can come out and speak on it. Hey, I was down a bad path. I needed this rock bottom to get me back, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there were 4 other substances that, were not quite clear exactly what they were here. But, yeah. When you got a couple of, random Vicodins in your pocket there that you're using as chiclets, I'm guessing, and the fact that you almost passed. And again, Donnie, in 2017, I remember it in Jupiter where he lives. I remember his Mercedes-Benz being on a median with no tires on it, and him passed out behind the wheel, and the cops like, hello, everything going on? He went and did, went to get checked into a clinic after that, but apparently we're back to that again, less than 10 years later.
Once he got 15 majors, amazing. If he didn't self-sabotage himself over the past decade here, how many more majors would he have? How much more money would he have that superstar status? Would he able to catch Jack here? We're never going to know at that point. Just seems like it continues to be an extension here, and hopefully he gets clean and the help he needs. But we do have golf this week, Joe. Valero, Texas Open. Did you know we're tied here in the marketplace for a favorite? It's Tommy Fleetwood at 15-1. It's Ludwig Oberg at 15-1, and Russell Henley at 16-1, along with Jordan Spieth. The ramp up here to the Masters.
It is the ramp up, and listen, all those guys. This is a tough tournament, Donnie, from the standpoint of a lot of these guys here. This is that final tune-up before they get to the Masters, right? And in years past, guys that have won this tournament going into the Masters didn't exactly fare all that well. But there are guys that are here strictly to work on certain parts of their game, Donnie, that is going to matter when it comes to Augusta. So the focus for a lot of those big names, not necessarily leaving it all out there and winning this tournament. If they do, great. But there are certain elements of their game that a lot of these guys, that's the only thing is going to matter at the Valero Open for them. Whether they make the cut, finish first, fifth, 10th, not really in the cards for them this week.
And also, if you're not qualified for the Masters yet, you can get automatically qualified. Go out and win this golf tournament, and we'll show up at Augusta and have some fun. Top 10 market, Joe. Oberg, plus 195. A lot of plus money out there. Different ways to invest and spend your money on this golf tournament as these guys prepare.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there are some guys that, hey, this would be great. There are guys that are going to be gunning, but some of the guys that don't have to worry about qualifying for the Masters, they might be working in a new swing, a new club, working on a knockdown shot. So be careful. Just because it's a big name, be careful what you wish for here in the Valero Open.
Sliding down these top 10 marketplace, little Billy Horschel listed at 10-1 down here. Max Homa at 10-1. Bo Hostler at 11-1. I'm going to continue to slide all the way down. Matt Kuchar showing up here, Joe, 14-1. Joel Damon, you got a lot of people in this competition here and a lot of fun. But the eyes on the prize, that's the Masters green jacket coming up soon here. We're getting started. We're having some fun. And we're talking NFL next.
Whatever the gap people believe is between the Dodgers and the Mets, I think that's the gap between the Mets and then the third team. I think the Mets are comfortably the second best team in this league. The Phillies are a much older baseball team with an injured Zach Wheeler. The Braves' entire rotation is either injured or injury prone. Maybe you love this Cubs team.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Parlays are pretty much the reason that FanDuel and DraftKings were able to become profitable a couple years ago. Think about a straight bet that someone places on a sports book, usually about 5% hold rate for a sports book. A parlay, it's about 20%. So there's a reason that all the promos you get, all the advertisements, all centered around parlays.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
As a former pitcher who thought the umpires were wrong far more than people let on, I like the ABS system. But you're going to have problems because umpires are going to start having issue with the fact that they're being called out. Well, here's the thing. Umpires are now going to be treated like players. They're going to get publicly embarrassed when they make mistakes in front of the fans.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
Discussion in March was, this ABS is ruining everything. There's challenges in the second inning and the third inning. And yes, for CB Buckner, that has been the case. But for every other umpire in Major League Baseball, what you're seeing, Donnie, is exactly what you said. This is going to normalize. We did see a lot of success in the first couple of days of the season.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You know, Joe, I said yesterday, the life of an NBA player, superstar NBA player, has to be the best life you could possibly have. Maybe only secondary to an NFL owner because they're out at the annual meetings here for a couple days, and I have no idea what they do except to enjoy themselves, and they have to talk to the media and come up with ways to maybe make the game better and ratify solutions that can do that here, Joe. Did you know the NFL is making changes here to the upcoming season with some of the rules? And one of those rules that we always thought was interesting was the dynamic kickoff, which actually has made football better. Gives us more returns, penalizes you for just kicking the ball out of the end zone. But now, Joe, we're seeing that you used to have to say, well, it can't be till the fourth quarter and you're losing. I'm going to declare an onside kick so you know it's coming. Part of the fun of the onside kick in the past was you can spring it on an opponent at any time and try to steal possession. So now, Joe, they're saying you can do this at any time. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, again, I mean, the tweaking and the some of the original stuff, Donnie, that they, especially when it comes to the kicking rules and things along those lines. Yeah, I appreciate the effort to kind of tweak them up to try to get them right. But, I'm a guy that if I didn't see anything wrong with the original version of it anyway, I didn't have a problem with the original onside kick. Now nobody can, the problem is their rule changes. Nobody can get an onside kick anymore. I mean, what was the conversion rate last year? It was barely 1%. So, don't take it out of the game if that's the case. But I appreciate them trying to, readjust some of these and tweak them up a little bit. But time will tell on whether or not any of this is going to work.
Yeah, if I'm commissioner, we never have the onside kick. What, we're going to give a team a chance to come back here and just sometimes, Joe, I'm just happy that they haven't gone down a path which I thought they might was. Well, how about 4th and 15 and you get the football back? Like, oh my God, we're going to bastardize this sport where one team plays fantastic football for 57 minutes and then we play an arcade game for the final minute to try to decide who's going to win. It's like in the NBA, man. Yeah, took a 1-point lead, timeout. Okay, now I get a chance to win the bet. Wait. You just move the basketball to the court 60 feet here and you get a chance to win it after we thought we won it. Stop the madness. Don't make too many changes here. But also, Joe, they're starting to ramp up. If they don't think their refs are going to be here, there's going to be a lot of people surrounded by TVs on Fifth Avenue on Sundays and that earpiece saying like, hey, you messed up that review. We're going to change it back for you. We're headed for some crazy times in the NFL, Joe.
Yeah, it's so funny because they made a lot of these kickoff rule changes and the onside kick for, in the name of player safety, but now all of a sudden they're like, well, we want more guys actually returning the kicks and running into brick walls. So like, which is it? Like you purposely did all of this to not get any more, kickoffs and run backs. And now all of a sudden you're tweaking it to try and get it back in the game. It's, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Get ready for more infomercials, people. Netflix is saying, hey, we might want a little bit more football on our plate here, which includes Thanksgiving Eve football games. So let me get this straight, Joe. Thanksgiving Eve, Thanksgiving Day, and Black Friday, and then we roll into Sunday here. Woohoo, football. It's going to be 7 days a week soon, Joe.
Yeah, but again, that only leads to more, why don't we get a Tuesday night game and then why can't we play a doubleheader on Thursdays? It's all coming here, Donnie. More games, 7 days a week. They're just going to water it down for us, aren't they?
By the way, somebody got fired for this one. The NFL will no longer have multiple Monday Night Football games at the same time as they experimented in recent years. You think, Joe? You think that was a good idea?
Yeah, no, it wasn't, and everyone, it was one thing to have the East Coast game and the West Coast game, which they started to do, years ago, where at least you had a 7 o'clock and then you had a 10 o'clock. But having two games, one at 7 and one at 8, made absolutely no sense.
I mean,
none.
I'm telling you, man, the NBA putting 11 o'clock games on here, doubling up on Monday night games side by side at this point. We're not making too much sense to our investors out here, people, and that's why those changes are made. But Netflix, we have more money to spend. By the way, Live Golf is just like Netflix at this point. They don't care how much they spend or what type of product is going to get put out there or when it goes on. Just take the money is what the NFL is saying. How about Hard Knocks? Teams don't like to be on that because sometimes it embarrasses their own team. Like, man, that team looks stupid. That GM saying dumb things. That head coach, is he serious here? But we know what the NFL is getting smart where, hey, we'll do it next year. Gotcha. And next year comes around, it's like, we don't want to do it. So the NFL is like, oh, no. You're going to do it next year. We're going to lock you in a year ahead of time so you can't get out of it. You will be on Hard Knocks. Don't get it twisted.
No, yeah, you will, and we've had this for discussion for
We'll
years,
do it
right?
next
Teams are
year.
like, do I really? Can we just punt? I'll do it. No, like, no. When the schedule is in, it's part of the game. Like this is not
Yeah.
negotiable. You are on Hard Knocks. Don't care.
Look, family life for me. I'll take the kid to soccer tonight. You take him next time. Sure. Next time comes up.
Yeah.
Why don't you take him again? Come on now. We all do it. Hour number 2 is coming up next.
Whatever the gap people believe is between the Dodgers and the Mets, I think that's the gap between the Mets and then the third team. I think the Mets are comfortably the second best team in this league. The Phillies are a much older baseball team with an injured Zach Wheeler. The Braves' entire rotation is either injured or injury prone. Maybe you love this Cubs team.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Parlays are pretty much the reason that FanDuel and DraftKings were able to become profitable a couple years ago. Think about a straight bet that someone places on a sports book, usually about 5% hold rate for a sports book. A parlay, it's about 20%. So there's a reason that all the promos you get, all the advertisements, all centered around parlays.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
As a former pitcher who thought the umpires were wrong far more than people let on, I like the ABS system. But you're going to have problems because umpires are going to start having issue with the fact that they're being called out. Well, here's the thing. Umpires are now going to be treated like players. They're going to get publicly embarrassed when they make mistakes in front of the fans.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
Discussion in March was, oh, this ABS is ruining everything. There's challenges in the second inning and the third inning. And yes, for CB Buckner, that has been the case. But for every other umpire in Major League Baseball, what you're seeing, Donnie, is exactly what you said. This is going to normalize. We did see a lot of success in the first couple of days of the season.
Pro Baseball Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Hour number 2, tons of fun to be had, people. It's Wednesday, it's a hump day, it's April 1st, it's April Fool's Day. Kevin Walsh is going to be joining us shortly here for some of the hottest topics across the sports landscape that you can have fun with as well as us. But Joe, we're just getting started. Hour number 1 on fire, hot topics. The better the topics, the better the show, Joe. Do you agree?
I agree, Donnie, and we got a lot to get through because we got a ton of afternoon Major League Baseball coming our way. The first true getaway day here. It's a lot of guys got to catch airplanes off to the next city. A lot of noon and 1 o'clock opportunities here today, Donnie.
80 degrees, too, in the Northeast here. Fun getaway day in Philadelphia, which sees my Christopher Sanchez. I say my because at least that guy's performing well on the mound. Painter was good last night, and away we go, Joe. But let's get to some of those hot topics, which includes, we like to be dapper. We like to get a nice fade, a nice haircut at times. And for the first day of school, first day for a new job, how about Todd Monken? He missed the NFL's annual coaches photo on Monday because why? He was getting a tight cut. Missed the coach's photo. This isn't like, hey, Andy Reid missed it or Mike Tomlin back in there, Bill Belichick. They've been here 20 years. This is the first time he's been a head coach in the NFL, and he missed it, Joe. Come on now, take the picture. Get on time.
Well, in his defense, Donnie, he's the head coach of the Browns, so
even want to be known. Yeah, it's good point.
Does anybody? Can you blame the guy for trying to duck it? I really that picture usually lives on a wall somewhere. No, I'm good to go. Haircut time it is.
Haircut time it is. And by the way, here's what I always like too. For some reason, Joe, if you are bad at your job, you always have a way or an angle to probably sue to get your job back, even if you're not well liked in the community. And I don't say this by saying I know a person and I know they're a bad person or they don't do their job well. We see it a lot with Major League Baseball umpires. Like Angel Hernandez was the worst umpire of all time, never got promotions and blamed it because he said he was Hispanic at this point. No, it's not because you were Hispanic. You're just a terrible umpire here. So now we have one of the first women to officiate NFL games suing for reinstatement and damages. So I'm going to assume, Joe, if you just took the name and the face off of the card and just gave the scores, and you go, okay, let's line up all of our 100 referees here. We're going to cut the bottom 20% because you're just bad at their job. You cut the bottom 20%, and then you get lawsuits. Oh, you're only doing it because I'm a woman here. Stop it. If the best referee in the NFL was a woman, fantastic. Give her the Super Bowl. Let her be the lead. But if you're bad, I don't care what color you are. I don't care if you are a man, a woman, whatever. If you're bad at your job and you get released, the last place I want to be is like, well, I want my job back. Even though I know I was bad, I've been discriminated against. Stop it. Stop it.
Yeah, it's amazing the lack of personal accountability, Donnie,
Yes.
in a lot of spots where it's always, somebody else's fault. It couldn't be
Yes.
that I sucked at my job, which is why I no longer have it. It's got to be, there's a reason for it. It's not your fault. It's somebody
Correct.
else's fault. I got it now. Yes, makes total sense.
Exactly. Enough. Accountability, people, is what we have here. And also talking about the early lineup. How about accountability here from Tiger Woods? Taking accountability by saying, I'm stepping away from golf here to address my addiction issues. And oh, by the way, I'm not guilty. Am I going to put my plea in? And I want a jury trial.
Yeah, there's not a lot of, it feels like, personal accountability there either, Donnie, because demanding jury trials, telling telling the police that I was changing the radio station and got, I was distracted for a half a second in a neighborhood where the speed limit is 15 miles an hour. Like, I just, no, it doesn't feel like any of this is personal accountability.
When you get distracted as well, when you're going 15 or 20 miles an hour, you might bump into another bumper or might miss your turn at that point here. I don't know if you flip your car at that point here when you're trying to change the radio and just looking at your phone at this point. So we'll get some more details as they filter out, and away we go in the World Cup 2026. By the way, Joe, I got an interesting story for this one as well. The state of New Jersey, which is the Meadowlands, which is going to be hosting a lot of these tournament games here over the next couple of weeks. Did you know, Joe, they're looking to put in a new 10% sales tax there and bumping everything up? Just, you want to talk about the ultimate, it's for the fans, it's not for the fans. You know who's not going to be there? Many Italy fans. Their team isn't even showing up to the World Cup. 3 straight tournaments. What happened? I thought they were a great soccer country.
They used to be, Donnie, but a lot of inner turmoil, from what I understand, coaching issues, and it's just been downhill. And there are a lot of guys that I know that love soccer and are a big Italy fan. They are just beside themselves. This is their 3rd missed World Cup in a row. And that's unacceptable in Italy. And you got to think, Donnie, look at how well they did in the Olympics and the Winter Olympics we just saw. And none of those sports are even remotely considered to be associated with Italy. Soccer has always been associated with Italy, and they're not any good. Even baseball, did great in the World Baseball Classic. What's up with soccer?
Yeah, come on now, Italy. If the Forza Italy, what happened to La Liga? It's not La Liga. What's there? It's not La Liga.
Serie A.
Serie A. There we go. Serie A.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Where is that? Where's all the great players out there in these streets? Christian Pulisic score a goal. It's just once in a while, superstars score goals. How about if Michael Jordan went, I don't know, a couple tournament games in the Olympics here and didn't score? Score a goal.
Donnie, they're doing these friendly warm-up games, right? And you got shut out to Portugal yesterday. And, you lost to Belgium the game before that on Saturday. Are you just purposely trying to get all of the losses out now? Is that, maybe that's the strategy? We don't want to show them too much, so we'll just, we're going to save the best for the tournament. Good luck with that.
You know what's saving the best for last is Alex Ovechkin. We just don't know when the actual last is coming from the best player. Did you know, Joe, 30 goals for 20 straight seasons? It doesn't compute. It doesn't.
No, it does. And the funny part is, I don't know, can he go another 3 years, 4 years, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, he feels like the kind of guy that is until he just absolutely can't lace him up and can't skate anymore. That's the only time that he'll stop playing. But then he'll find some sort of over 50 league like Yager did, and we'll be watching him there as well. The guy is just an absolute machine.
Losing good wide receivers in the offseason, Joe, never a recipe for success. That's what's happening in Syracuse right now.
Yeah, that's I mean, they went from the top of the mountain, got their their new coach there for the basketball team. Now they're losing top recruits here for the football team. But the roller coaster of emotions, crazy there at Syracuse.
It is. Buyer's remorse, seller's remorse. You hear it all the time. Mark Cuban could have a few more $1 billion in his pocket, but he sold early, and he's saying like, oh, man, why did I do that?
Yeah. Oh, I should not have sold to that group.
Yeah.
Oh, stop it. You just shouldn't have sold, period. And the group has nothing to do with it. So stop beating and picking the low-hanging fruit there. Because we all know they're not exactly the most popular owner base in Dallas right now.
No, certainly not. By the way, the NFL always making changes, sometimes for the good, but more than not. Changes to the kickoff here. The dynamic kickoff was a great change here because it took out, hey, just boot the ball into the stands. What a boring play. Now we get more returns and more fun. But now they're telling you, you're going to be able to onside kick anytime you want it, anytime in this game. And you don't have to declare and be like, hey, guys, surprise is coming here.
Yeah, well, again, it's you made all of these changes in the name of safety, and it feels like a lot of these new changes, Donnie, are tweaking those because, all right, maybe a little bit of danger is involved. Yeah, maybe maybe we'll bring that back a little bit. Yeah.
Bring it back. And by the way, I can't stand the onside kick. Just because you're down, you shouldn't be able to cheat the system at this point. How about you get a stop in the third quarter, the second quarter here to make it your chance? But understand this too, Joe. You got the referees that are probably going to strike or no CBA. They're going to get locked out. Bring in the replacement referees, but they're going to have a lot more eyeballs watching them on Fifth Avenue just in case they make a mistake, Joe. How about that one?
Oh, you know it, Donnie. And listen, it's great for the optics. They'll make sure they have an entire, skeleton crew ready to go that nobody's going to like.
The NFL right around the corner, and apparently 7 days a week coming soon. Kevin Walsh, Game Time Decision host, joins us next. Aye.
Whatever the gap people believe is between the Dodgers and the Mets, I think that's the gap between the Mets and then the third team. I think the Mets are comfortably the second best team in this league. The Phillies are a much older baseball team with an injured Zach Wheeler. The Braves' entire rotation is either injured or injury prone. Maybe you love this Cubs team.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Parlays are pretty much the reason that FanDuel and DraftKings were able to become profitable a couple years ago. Think about a straight bet that someone places on a sports book, usually about 5% hold rate for a sports book. A parlay, it's about 20%. So there's a reason that all the promos you get, all the advertisements, all centered around parlays.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
As a former pitcher who thought the umpires were wrong far more than people let on, I like the ABS system. But you're going to have problems because umpires are going to start having issue with the fact that they're being called out. Well, here's the thing. Umpires are now going to be treated like players. They're going to get publicly embarrassed when they make mistakes in front of the fans.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Discussion in March was, oh, this ABS is ruining everything. There's challenges in the second inning and the third inning. And yes, for CB Buckner, that has been the case. But for every other umpire in Major League Baseball, what you're seeing, Donnie, is exactly what you said. This is going to normalize. We did see a lot of success in the first couple of days of the season.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Wednesday hump day on the early line. Fun, hot topics rolling along as we go. And we love to have some guests here. It's on the right side. It's Joe Ranier. And we're going to bring in Kevin Walsh on April Fool's Day. Now, did anybody play any April Fool's joke? Any, like, the family members? How about this joke? Like, I have the producers in the back right now, Kevin. One button they can push, A, B, or C, which is guess Kevin's cell phone number, and one of those is correct. Should we play that game on April Fool's Day?
Yeah, I got to tell you, I immediately feel like I should have canceled this appearance. I cannot believe I showed up here on April 1st.
Bringing that heat. And by the way, before we get into the really important topics, like Joe and I, we do a segment every day called the Spreadlines coming up, Joe, or for Joe and I. Kevin, there's a basketball tournament that starts tonight. That's not the NCAA tournament. It's called the Crown. Like, your thoughts on the Crown playing while we still have college? Because this feels like you might be able to get away with, like, post-tournament where it might get some eyes, but I can't get into this. I'm sorry. I can't.
So here's the thing, right? Usually, I know you're like, just give me more games. But I also know how quickly you turn against anything that, like, flirts with being meaningless. You're like, this is terrible.
Yes.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares about the Crown. The one thing that I am admittedly unsure of with the Crown is, do we have opt-outs here? Like, will OU have a full starting five? Like, because that's kind of where you start to... listen, man, it's one thing for the bowl games when I'm running through the opt-out list and I find out, all right, Toledo's, first two running backs aren't here. I'm not sure an area I need to figure out if Tunde Yesufu agreed to play for Baylor tonight against Minnesota. That seems a little lofty for me.
Well, and you're spot on, because that's what it was last year, is who's in, who's out. It was like it was like a tryout for the following season's team there. But in this case tonight with Oklahoma, Nigel Pack, Brad, they're all of the Oklahoma guys are playing, which is why you saw the line move 5.5 points. So that all you need to do is look at the steam, and you'll know exactly who's got opt-outs and who doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, a 9.5 point number in this, look at a lovely little exhibition.
Crown.
Here, the funny thing is, I'll say this, the NIT are 2 results away from having a legitimate tournament level game in their final. Auburn and New Mexico have actually showed up and, like, taken this all very seriously, which I do appreciate from those two basketball teams here, because especially Auburn. I wasn't really sure what the approach was going to be. That's tomorrow, though, the semis over there.
Let's get into it here. A little NBA action tonight. The Boston Celtics on the road to take on the Miami Heat. Any Miami flu tonight possible for those Boston Celtics, Kevin? They opened up as a 4-point favorite, but now up to 5.5. The Miami Heat, the only team that can beat, it seems like, is the Philadelphia 76ers. The Celtics are coming to town here. What gives in this one?
The Heat have mixed in a couple of nice wins with some horrific losses. So I do wonder if the point spread here is a little irrelevant. I feel like this is like a little old school NFL handicap, and just bet who you think's going to win the game and just forget about the rest kind of here. Miami is a little tempting, though. I still, when I see them priced as a home underdog they were home dog to Philly, right, the other day. And I was like, I don't know about that. 5.5 here from Boston. And a Boston team who I think they've done all their victory lapping, right? Jaylen Brown tweets out gap year every other day because he's so proud of himself. Everyone is going to pretend he doesn't want to give the team back to Jaylen. He does not want to give the team back to Jason Tatum. We can pretend it's fine, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Like Missoula, like the coach of the year case was good. And then Cade Cunningham had a collapse young, and JB Bickerstaff never loses. So, like, he's not probably going to beat Bickerstaff for coach of the year. Boston's deadlocked here. It'd be Miami or pass for me when I look at this number.
Yeah, which version of Miami shows up? The one that gives up 130, or the one that actually decides to play defense here? Listen, we saw it last night. Ohtani takes them out for the Dodgers there, Kev. Looks great. You don't want to lay the run and a half when a home team only bats 8 times, but it just feels like It's the only option you've got in the markets with the Dodgers when they're $2.50 favorites like they are tonight with Yamamoto again on the mound here. I don't know. How do you approach the game against the Guardians?
Yeah, the Dodgers are really, really tricky, but it's kind of a fun challenge. I think yesterday's game was the first time, and it's an early baseball season, but it was the first time I stared at something. I'm like, that feels too easy. I refuse to bet it. But that's how I felt about the Dodgers run line, where the Guardians even themselves now in 6 games, it's 3 wins and then 2 non-covers on a 2.5 run line, right? They aren't being, competitive right now in their losses here. They've also not lost consecutive games in a row yet. Again, it's early season. The Dodgers in 2 of the 3 wins against Arizona didn't cover the run line. So this is one where I'd be really careful, just, fully kind of running out, oh, don't worry about it, Dodgers will win by margins here. The Dodgers all of a sudden don't look that good. Yeah, I know they're 4-1, but we also know what the expectations are for this baseball team here. Ohtani's hitting 200, no home run yet. Kyle Tucker's doesn't look all that good. And those 2, it doesn't matter. The Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman stuff, certainly something to watch, though. At some point, age catches up, but they're not spring chickens. And again, they've had, Mookie more so than Freddie's had a down regular season before, and it's been fine. But it's certainly something to watch here in L.A.
I got questions on Kevin as well. It's like, what do they do at spring training, actually, right? Is the WBC actually a bad thing? You take a look at the Yankees. 4-1. Maybe the Yankees should never play a home game because they're sensational on the road. Judge, 150 on the season. Cal Raleigh, 143. Kevin, did they even see live pitching at field? What do they do? It's almost like NFL training camp at this point. Get them some work.
Did Bryce Harper hit the last home run of his career in that WBC final? He's batting 100. Not very good.
Sell out, people. April Fools, no fools here. And no fools at 6 o'clock then on Game Time Decision. That's Kevin and Gabe territory. Make sure you check them out. Talk to Kevin once again tomorrow.
Whatever the gap people believe is between the Dodgers and the Mets, I think that's the gap between the Mets and then the third team. I think the Mets are comfortably the second best team in this league. The Phillies are a much older baseball team with an injured Zach Wheeler. The Braves' entire rotation is either injured or injury prone. Maybe you love this Cubs team.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Parlays are pretty much the reason that FanDuel and DraftKings were able to become profitable a couple years ago. Think about a straight bet that someone places on a sports book, usually about 5% hold rate for a sports book. A parlay, it's about 20%. So there's a reason that all the promos you get, all the advertisements, all centered around parlays.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
As a former pitcher who thought the umpires were wrong far more than people let on, I like the ABS system. But you're going to have problems because umpires are going to start having issue with the fact that they're being called out. Well, here's the thing. Umpires are now going to be treated like players. They're going to get publicly embarrassed when they make mistakes in front of the fans.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Discussion in March was, oh, this ABS is ruining everything. There's challenges in the second inning and the third inning. And yes, for CB Buckner, that has been the case. But for every other umpire in Major League Baseball, what you're seeing, Donnie, is exactly what you said. This is going to normalize. We did see a lot of success in the first couple of days of the season.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You like it, you love it. It's the early line, fun on a Wednesday, hump day, almost to the weekend here. And some people have been waiting a while here, Joe, for a guy named Chef Curry to appear back on the court. Let's get an update here from Mr. Kerr, the head coach. Maybe not.
Steph able to do today?
He went through full practice, but it was very light. We didn't do anything live. He's going to scrimmage right now, 5-on-5, and so yeah, it's a good step for him.
Do you? I mean, I would assume he's out tomorrow.
Yeah, he won't play tomorrow. I mean, we got to see how he responds to the scrimmage, and then we'll just take it day by day.
Would you say is Thursday even on the table?
Doubtful. I mean,
Okay.
Just when we're talking to Rick, it's scrimmage today, and see how he feels tomorrow, and then we'll go from there.
Gotcha.
Do you know about how?
Feels like the longest injury of all time, Joe. What's going on out there with the doctors?
Yeah. Well, what's going on is that, he won't play. We've already, resigned to the fact that we're probably going to be the last seed in the West. So he won't see him until the play-in games. That's the bottom line.
The bottom line is we got to reach out to the public now and find out exactly what they're digging on today, people. Let's find out with our Fade the Public poll. Which April sports moment are you most excited for, Joe? 4 options in the month of April. The Masters in its 90th year, the NFL Draft, which will be later this month, the National Championship game in college basketball, and the NBA playoff. You know, isn't dead last right now? And I got to tell you, I kind of agree with it. It's the national championship game in college basketball. It's one of the few moments where, Joe, it's like, hey, you know what? The Final Four is actually bigger than the championship game. But the leader right now, you see the update on the screen, it actually shows the NFL Draft. You know who's overtaking it, Joe? The Masters at 41% currently as the favorite here for the most excitement.
Well, again, I think that will totally change, Donnie, if we get in that championship game of the NCAA tournament, anything like UConn and Duke provided. And I get it if you think it's going to be a blowout where it's just whoever wins Michigan, Arizona is going to blow out whoever wins with Illinois and UConn. But I would be careful with that. I think that's going to be another one of those. It's going to come down to the wire. I don't think there's a lot separating those 4 teams. So I'm not agreeing with the public. I want nothing to do with the NFL Draft till I see the national championship game.
National championship game coming up next Monday night. By the way, the Masters here coming in as that favorite at around 41% as it changes back and forth. If Tiger was in it, maybe be even a little bit higher here. But it's time to get you some best bets here on a Wednesday. Here's Bye. Joe told you about those Lakers last night. Now, Joe's going to tell you about another spot you can win tonight, Joe. Won't you?
I will, Donnie. I'm going to look into Major League Baseball, a little afternoon spot here. And listen, it's not been good after a opening day win with Garrett Crochet on the mound for the Red Sox. They have proceeded to lose just about every other game they've played now here. And it's not good. They lost again last night to Houston, got crushed. In fact, 9-2, Ranger Suarez not looking good. But I think this is your stopper here. Garrett Crochet on the mound, pitched great in the opening game that they lost, that they actually ended up winning. 6 innings, 3 hits, 8 Ks in that shutout win. I think he's exactly the guy you want on the mound in order to get it done here. I see the Red Sox getting it done not only on the money line, but I see them getting it done on the run line as well.
There you go. I'm going to flip it over to the association. One of my kryptonite teams in the NBA snapped another long streak for me was Toronto getting upended last night. But I'm jumping back into a team that not a lot of people are going to want to take here. But by the way, they don't have to win this game. Matter of fact, they barely even have to hang around. It's the Utah Jazz. They're at home tonight in elevation to take on another team who does like elevation in the Denver Nuggets. Did you know this line opened up overnight at 17 points this morning? It still sits at 17 despite only about 30% of the ticket count coming in on the Utah Jazz. I'm going to take the 17 with the Utah Jazz tonight just to hang around for a cup of coffee, Joe. 15-point loss gets me the victory here.
Yeah, that is, it's gross, but it has to be done,
It is gross.
Donnie. It's just too many points for a team that just get the win and get out. That's all that matters there for Denver.
By the way, we have 9 games tonight, Joe. Let me give you some spreads tonight. Sixers favored by 16.5. Houston Rockets favored by 17.5. Raptors favored by 13.5. Knicks favored by 14.5. Nuggets favored by 17. And the Spurs on the road favored by 13.5. What is going on in the NBA? But I'll tell you what is going on next year. Prediction markets on the early line coming your way. Make sure you stay tuned.